सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। Hari Om to one and all. The four consideration: Adhikari, Vishaya, Prayojana and the Sambandha. These four have been concised and addressed already in the Mangalacharana. All scriptural texts have a beginning with this invocation, with an invocation where they make it very clear, crystal clear, that what this book is about, for whom the book is, what would be the desired end result, and finally, what is the connection between this book and that goal is very clearly mentioned. This particular invocation is called Mangalacharana. We move ahead today in our book. In the past sessions, we have mentioned the requirement for a person who wishes to become a mumukshu, somebody who is capable or who is eligible to study this particular field. Naturally, the three questions that had arisen in the mind, the first one was this, that what is this chatushtaya, fourfold qualities or fourfold means by which we reach the mumukshutvam? The first amongst them we had also spoken about. It was called, in concise, in a short word, it was mentioned as VIVEKA. Now, we understood that VIVEKA is the discrimination between the permanent and the impermanent, isn't it? Jog your memory. This is what we had spoken. We also said that everything that we see or we feel or that we know is impermanent. So that does not require Vedanta. That does not require Shastra to tell us. What it requires is slightly deeper reflection on the things that we interact with, the things that we look about. Yeah, we live in this world, but we take this world as real, or we take this world as so permanent. It is always going to be there. This viewpoint that the world is there and we are interacting in the world and it is going to be always there is a norm in us. It's that what we feel on a day-to-day basis. When we speak of Viveka, what does the Shastra say? The Shastra says that the distinguishing or the differentiation has to be not between the two impermanents, but between the permanent and the impermanent. So the question is, what is permanent? Some of you all had sent me messages saying that, yeah, I understand that everything is impermanent, but I don't even know if there is something like as permanent. I understand. At this point in time, we are not sure about it. We are unclear because our mind does not allow us to think of anything that is permanent. here comes the thought process. Tattvabodha, knowledge of the truth, in which Tattvaviveka, how to distinguish between that truth and the rest of the thing, is first by saying in your mind that there is that truth, and the truth is the only thing which is permanent. Other than the truth, everything else is impermanent. One would say, what? Will you please say that again? I'll repeat. Shastra tells us how you should think at this moment. The Viveka, distinguishing between this impermanent world and everything in it, which we see, and that which is permanent, which right now, as this moment, we are completely unaware of, we are not knowing it. Your mindset, your thought process, the way to think, the procedure of reaching this truth is that you start with this thought that that permanent factor is the only thing which is called the truth, and that truth is the only permanent factor. Other than that, nothing else that comes to our cognition, nothing that comes to our interaction is the permanent. Rest, everything is impermanent. But one would say, this is what I thought would be the end goal of Vedanta, that knowing that there is a truth and that rest everything is impermanent. No. May I get your kind attention to the words that are being used by Shastra. I will repeat. Please pay attention. That the world is impermanent. We are not saying the world is untrue. Mithya. There is a word called Mithya, untrue. That means the world is, but it is impermanent. Everything that we experience is impermanent. However, there is something upon which, because of which this impermanence is sustaining itself. That thing which is called the permanent is the truth. And truth is something which cannot be negated. Negated? Truth is something that cannot be negated. Negated means falsified. Falsified means which cannot be argued about. No, this is sometimes like this, but other times it is not like that. No. Truth is truth in all times, in all spheres, in all the ages. From time beginning to time end, truth was there. As a matter of fact, truth is beyond time. That is the only permanent. Now, this is what Shastra is asking us to start with. That your mindset, when you begin, just like in science, you have to be very, very sure of what you want to achieve. Only when the goal that this is what I want to achieve is in your mind, that you carve out a path step by step to reach there, isn't it? In the same way, if you are unclear about this in the beginning, that there is some truth, I don't know, maybe I cannot see the truth. For at this moment, I am completely unaware of the truth. So I don't think there is any truth. Why there should be anything permanent? I don't understand why should there be any permanent. The whole world is impermanent. So why should there be any permanent? If this kind of negative approach, nakaratmak as it is called, a negative viewpoint, you will never reach the goal. A runner, the first day he says, okay, I am going to start running the marathon and I'm going to reach 42 kilometers. The first day probably he doesn't run 2 kilometers also. But he will say, no, impossible, it is not humanly possible only. He will never be able to do it. I'm giving a physical example. But in his mind, in his heart of heart, he knows that there is in me that I can reach that goal. I have to prepare myself. Step by step, I will slowly, day by day, working towards it, I will reach the goal one day. And we have seen thousands and thousands of people reach that. Shastra says, Viveka means this and nothing other than this is Viveka. For whom? For whom is this kind of thought process required? For every person on the world of planet Earth? No. For everyone who is moving around? No. For someone who is in your house but sleeping? No. Then for whom? It's for you. It's for me. Because we are the people who want to be mumukshu. We want to have mumukshutvam. For those who want to have mumukshutvam, for them the thought process has to be this. That Nitya vastam ekam, that the permanent is only one. Tadvyatiriktam sarvam anityam. Other than it, everything else is only temporary, impermanent. This has to be clear in your mind before you start your experiment. That means you are setting up your goals. You go and ask any person in this world who is being successful in whichever field. Can anybody reach real success without having goals? As a matter of fact, those who are really successful, they have goals in compartment. 2-year goal plan, 5-year goal plan, 10-year goal plan, life goal plan. Only when you have a vision that you can reach. And this is the first step of Sadhana Chatushtaya, which the Shastra, which the Guru is asking you to set clearly in your mind. Nothing else but the truth. Nothing else but the truth is the permanent factor. Tadvyatiriktam. Other than that, everything else is a nityam. How do you think it is? Absolutely on the dot. That is called Viveka. Now, of course, to realize, to understand that the world is impermanent, you don't need Shastra. You don't need Shastra. We know that. We all know everything is impermanent. But what are we doing with this knowledge? We have this knowledge that it is impermanent. What do? We still indulge in it as though it is real. Think about it. We have to face the fact. If you want to know the ultimate truth, you should be able to see the truth in your own face. What do you live like? Don't we live in this world as though there is nothing but this? Think. That's what the masters say. Think, how do you live? What have you done with this knowledge, with this truth that the world is impermanent? What have we done? We still live the same way as we lived before. Shastra has given you reasons also, logic also, why it is impermanent. We know it is impermanent, but Shastra is helping you. It's giving the logic that everything that is Drishyam, that can be seen, is Jadam, is only tangible. It is all gross. Everything that is gross is made up of parts. Everything that is made up of parts can be destroyed by removing the parts away. There are so many reasons given, logic explained. We have understood. You say, yeah, it comes to my cognition. But what have we done? Have we changed our way of looking at the world now? Have we started feeling, this is only temporary, it is not so much important to give so much importance to it that it is the only thing that is there. Have we changed our mind? No. So here I will give you a small example of a person who was sitting and smoking. And while he is smoking, he is telling 10 other friends of his, I'll tell you the way I left smoking. And he gives a long list of story that how he had left the smoking while he is yet smoking. He's saying, I wanted to prove it to my wife. She told me one day, if you are your father's son, you leave smoking and show me. And I said, I will prove it to you. So he left smoking to prove to somebody else. And that day when he was sitting and smoking, because so many were there, so he said, one cigarette, what difference does it make? The wife was not telling her to leave smoking so that she will enjoy, so that the person who's smoking, the husband, his health will be maintained. On the box of the smoking cigarettes, there's a big advertisement that if you smoke this, you will be dead. We know the truth. What do we do with it? Come on, face the fact. What do we do with it? I don't care. That time we'll say, it's all temporary. So how does it make a difference if I smoke? Excellent. Yes, how does it make a difference? How does it make a difference? Everything is temporary. But that's not the way to live. That's not the way to see the truth. If you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. Guruji has said it so beautifully. I'll repeat this again. If you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. Meaning, if we keep repeating the same thing again and again and expect a different result, it is impossible. If you want a different result, you have to change something. And this is what Shastra is telling you to do. Self-knowledge, the study of Vedanta has got nothing to do with your physical appearance. It has got nothing to do with your social status. Where you come from, what is your age, what is your gender, nothing. It is pure and pure knowledge for the self. And for that, you have to only churn your mind. Knowledge dawns in the mind. Or for whom does knowledge dawn? Who has Shraddha, faith, who is ready to test and change. That is what we say. That you have to know how to think. And this is the methodology of Vedanta. Tattvabodha, first step is to know how to think. That is what Vedanta is about. To know exactly how my thought process should be. In what way should I think about this world? In what way should I look at that truth? Remember, what is Shastra saying? The world is temporary. It is not saying it is unreal. Shastra is saying this. He is not calling it yet that it is mithya. But it is definitely saying that that truth is permanent, and that which is permanent is the only real factor. Because truth cannot be negated. The real cannot be negated. It is real all the time. Rest, everything else is temporary, impermanent. Now, one has to really understand this, that, oh, to find this truth that I am wanting to know, where am I supposed to look? There is a beautiful tale. There was this nice old lady, really old. And outside her house, there was this lamppost, like the light that is behind. And she was all on her fours, knees and palms, and trying to search on the ground. She was searching something. A nice sadhu baba, a saintly person, simple person, was walking from there. He looked at the lady and he felt, such an old lady, what is she doing? Let me inquire. He goes there humbly and he says, Ma, oh mother, could I know what you were looking for or something? She said, yes, my dear son. The thing is, I lost my key. He said, oh, that is really terrible. It was night and only a little bit of light was there, but it was bright enough. He said, allow me to help. And while he is also searching, he is inquiring, what kind of a key was it? Was it a big key, small key, very little key? Was it this key or that key and everything? And she is explaining, trying to explain in her own way. He is also searching, she is also searching. Both are searching in the nice bright light over there. After 20 odd minutes, the saintly person, the Maharaj, is saying, mother, I don't think it is here, because we both have been searching and it has been searching for a moment. She said, yeah, I didn't tell you it is here. He said, what? But you have been searching here. When I asked you what is lost, you said, my key is lost. He said, yeah, my key is lost. Where is it lost, Ma? He said, in the room. He said, but that is crazy. If your key is lost in your room, why would you search it over here? She said, Beta, don't you understand? In the room it is so dark I can't see anything. But here there is light, so I am searching it here. What? Sir, what is the story? If the key has been lost in the room, how can anybody find it here? The logic of the old woman was, the room is so dark I cannot see anything. But here there is bright where I can see something. So maybe I'll find it here. You are intelligent enough to understand what the story is saying. That what we were looking for, the truth, although it is in the dark right now, we don't know about it. We cannot see it, experience it, feel it. That does not mean that we search it elsewhere in the world which is seen. Because it is not lost in the world, it has been lost inside. So even if you cannot see the truth right now, Shastra says, don't search it in the wrong way, in the wrong place. Go to a teacher, go to a master, and the master will tell you how you should search. What is the way to do Viveka, the discrimination, and then search it in the right direction. This is a beautiful way of understanding that which is not seen right now does not mean it is not there. Only because we are unable to see it, it does not mean it does not exist. If this were the case, about 500 years ago, if somebody would have told, okay, can you give me your telephone number? The person would say, what? What is that? He said, telephone number, which, I can call you and then we can sit. I'll be in America, you'll be in Switzerland, and we'll sit and talk. The man would say, what, are you crazy? There is no such thing. If about 50 years ago, somebody would have told you, could I have your email ID? We would have said the same. If about 10 years ago, somebody would have told you, you know what, Skype, can I have Skype? 20 years ago, Skype. You understand what I'm trying to say, what Shastra is trying to say? that something which we don't experience right now, don't discard it as it is not there. Especially Shastra. When you want to know about the truth, understand you must follow what Shastra is saying. Shastra is saying simply that change the way you are thinking. And the first step towards this is Viveka. That Viveka which is distinguishing between the temporary and the permanent. Hold on to the permanent as the only thing, which is. Rest everything, let it go, don't give it so much importance. This is called Viveka. For whom is this kind of thinking Viveka required? For the one who is intending to be a mumukshu. Why does he want to be a mumukshu? Because he wants to ultimately reach the truth. Today we have concluded Viveka, the first step of Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna Adhikari. The 4 means to reach Mumukshutvam. The first step, Viveka. In the next session, we will just touch this once again and then move to the next step, which is called Vairagya, dispassion. And what does dispassion mean? According to Vedanta, what does Shastra and what does the Guru want to tell us about dispassion? Do kindly think on this aspect of Viveka. Things those which are temporary, however important they may be, they are still not permanent. Have this thing in your mind when you are interacting with this impermanent world, with impermanent things, with impermanent people, and see what happens in your mind. With these few words, let us take a Madhya Vinam and we shall meet next week. You are most welcome to send me messages and your queries in the week. There is no issues. But in the next session I'll give about 5-7 minutes for people to ask me if they want to ask something. If there is some query which you need to speak out, you must speak out. If not, then we continue with the next step, because now the ball is in motion. We have to start moving in the direction what our goal is. Kindly join me for Om Smarana, followed by Shanti Bhav. Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om to one and all. Hari Om. I shall see you all next week.